Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today on our Motivation and Mindset Monday, my favorite way to start the week with you. Really excited that you are a listener here over at the Cabral Concept each and every day, trying to bring you one more topic that I believe will provide actionable data in order for you to move your life forward. And today's topic is absolutely no different. We are looking to teach you a fundamental law of this universe, of this world that we live in. And the more that you participate in this specific law and do these specific things, the faster that you will literally make your goals come to reality. And this is something called the law of resonance. I learned about this many years ago now. I'm very fortunate to have learned these things, read them in many, many books, and they've been passed down literally from generation to generation. So you often wonder why, though, that this is not taught in schools, why this is not, really part of the common vernacular. Why are we not having more conversations about how to manifest, even though that's a strange word? I do admit it's a very strange word because it seems mystical. But why aren't we teaching the science behind this type of manifestation to our children? Why wasn't it taught to us? And that's the goal. I mean, that's really the goal of the Cabral Concept. The Cabral Concept means, and the tagline has always been, change your body, change your life. Well, it's really no different in goal embodiment. Now, my training is as a doctor of naturopathy. So that's what I do, postdoctoral work in functional medicine, in integrative health, in traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine. Eastern-based philosophy is where a lot of this comes from as well. Traditional naturopathy, of course, advanced lab testing, etc. But why would I take the time then to talk about goal manifestation? And there really isn't necessarily the goal. Like that's not why I get into it. Although, of course, I love being able to have people go out and live their best life. But the truth is that when I wrote my book, The Rain Barrel Effect, and I was really getting into how we're able to help people, much of it, not all of it, but much of it has to do with the mind as well. So my de-stress protocol, which again, I give out everything that I do over at Equal Life and in my book and in the podcast, like it's all there. It's really all there. And it's essentially all open source. It's essentially free information that I try to get out there as to what I've seen work now over the past 20 years and over 250,000 client appointments. And that's embodied in the de-stress protocol. It's diet, exercise, stress reduction, toxin removal, rest, emotional balance, scientifically backed supplements, and a success mindset. Well, if you look at stress, which we all have to some varying degree, and you look at emotional balance, and I go through the 9 toxic emotions in my book, and then you go through success mindset. Well, you say that's 3 out of the 8 have to do with the mind itself. So you see, I've given a lot of weight to your belief system, because if you don't believe, it's very difficult to then manifest whatever it is you want. So for example, I always go back to my big 5 in terms of how we can bucket our life, our health, our body. That's our physical body, which moves us through life. Our relationships, which is our community, okay? Not just our parents or siblings or spouse or children. And then also we have our overall career or finances, however you want to bucket that, and then our spirituality. So these are really 5 things we all need in life. Even if you don't believe in spirituality, well, it's the greater world around us. It is the universe. It's the law of resonance that we're going to be talking about today. It's there, and you have to have faith in something. So what is your faith? And some people are like, well, my faith is science, or my faith is whatever it might be. Again, a certain specific religion. But typically we have a faith in something, and that's part of our bucket of 5. So when we look at this, though, I always want you to know this, we're always manifesting our inner beliefs. And that's something that's very difficult to grasp. And so if you haven't been listening to a lot of the Cabral concept, Motivation and Mindset Mondays, it is really something to start to understand is that we're always manifesting. All that means is creating. We're always bringing into our life what we believe at a subconscious level, not a conscious level necessarily, but a subconscious level that's been typically pre-programmed into us before the age of 8. Now, again, that's the tough part because, the nice thing is we learn how to live in this world before the age of 8. But most of that is coming from just seeing and hearing and listening and just taking in millions and trillions of bytes of information that you couldn't possibly learn if you had to literally sit down and learn a lesson each time. So the nice thing is we're in more of a theta state when we're younger and we're absorbing everything we see and hear. So that's why, it's great to tell your children what to do, but they're really going to do what they see. They're going to model what they see and what they hear and what they feel. So really, really important, but that's a topic for another day. So as we're starting, though, to understand how our subconscious works, how our conscious mind works, and although I use this mainly in the health-based field, you have to understand is if you identify with someone that is sick, that has an autoimmune issue, that has a lifetime of migraines or whatever it may be, and you believe that is who you are because everyone in your family has had the migraines, the thyroid, the overweight, the rheumatoid arthritis, like you name it, right? Then you're going to get that too. It's part of your inner belief system. And I can say this because, again, it takes one person to know a person like this, right? And so it's like, well, for many years, I identified as someone with autoimmune issues, with Addison's disease, with mastocytosis, with POTS, with all of as an insomniac, as all of these different things. And it was only when I began to realize that my mind was causing a lot of my problems, my physical problems, my psychology was actually affecting my physiology, I was holding myself from getting well. Now, the thing was, I was doing a lot of the right protocols, and I would get well, and then I would get in a bad place more mentally maybe than anything else, and then I would relapse again. So I'm not saying that you can fix everything with the mind alone. I do believe that there's a physical component to this world for sure, right? We're living in it. But I do believe the mind plays a larger role than we're sometimes led to believe. And what I want to teach you today right now, though, is this law of resonance. So the law of resonance, you understand this. Everything that you want in life, the health, the body, the relationships, the spirituality, the finances, career, etc. It already exists. Like that's the thing. It already exists. So if you can think about it, it already exists in this world because you need to have, as Plato would say, a form for what it is in the physical world in order to identify with that specific thing. So let's say you set a goal and your goal is, well, let's say it's to have normal blood pressure, right? That's an easy one. How many people suffering with high blood pressure? Many, many people out there. Well, you can say to yourself, and you can understand that other people out there don't have high blood pressure. So we know that you should be able to achieve that too. If they can, why not you? Now, you might say to yourself, well, all my grandparents had high blood pressure. My parents had high blood pressure, and now I have high blood pressure. It must just be genetic. And you could say, okay, yeah, there's certainly a genetic component to that, but you had the same genetics when you were 10 years old. Did you have high blood pressure, hypertension when you were 10 years old? The likely scenario is no, you didn't. Okay, well, what happened as you started to age and get older? Whether you got high blood pressure in your late 20s, early 30s, early 40s, 50s, whatever. Honestly, it doesn't really matter. It's just, well, over time, if you read, again, the rain barrel effect, the rain barrel began to overflow. And that symptom of the water overflowing now is the diagnosed disease of the hypertension. But what if you were able to empty that rain barrel to a varying degree? Would you be able to go back to a point where you no longer had the symptoms of this disease? And the answer is yes. 100%. The answer is yes. So you have to ask yourself, why aren't you doing that? Why aren't you able to? Sometimes it's a lack of information, but much of the time it's a settling into the belief that this is just the way life is, that this is just what your lot is in life, right? It's common saying, many people use it, but that couldn't be anything further from the truth. It's almost like we just resign ourselves to say, well, that's just the way that life is. But we have to understand is that anything that's good enough for someone else, that they're able to achieve it, You can too. A lot of it, though, has to do with our inner belief system. So you have to understand that people use this every single day, very successful people and very unsuccessful people without even knowing it. So you might say to someone super successful, hey, do you practice the law of resonance? Do you practice this, this, and this? And they'll say, I have no idea what you're talking about. But what do? Well, let's say it's their career. Well, every day, here's what I do. I get up at 5:30 a.m. I do for 90 minutes my two most important tasks of the day that have to get done, that I know is going to move me forward. I'm studying to be able to do whatever it is to take myself to the next level. I have an accountability coach. I have an online group that I'm a part of where I'm always learning more. And like they're just doing the things that would take them to the next level. Well, they're already practicing this law of resonance, right? They're resonating at a level and doing the things of someone that is destined for success. So and I'm going to go much more in depth in this, but think about it this way. You have high blood pressure. Well, what are you doing to rebalance your body in order to not have high blood pressure? Well, the answer is oftentimes nothing. But the reason why you're not doing anything to rebalance your high blood pressure is simply that you've resigned yourself to believe that you're destined to a life of high blood pressure. That's for most people, right? And again, that doesn't mean that they're bad people. There are things that I do in my life that I know that I'm human, that I'm not living up to my highest potential or good, and that I have certain subconscious beliefs that I haven't yet rewired, right? Because I've worked on a lot of this over my life, and I've been very fortunate, very happy, very grateful to first understand this information and then to say, okay, let's put it to use, right? Very, very important. But let me give you exactly what the law of resonance is, and then we'll teach you how to use it to your own advantage. Because remember, everyone is using it at all times. There's just no doubt about that. Now, what are you resonating with? Well, before we get into what the law of resonance is, a really good example is this. Understand that you're resonating with exactly with what you have in your life right now on an averaged basis, right? So if you think about it like, hey, are you happy with, and you just look at it, your health, right? Your body, your relationships, your career, finances, the material thing that represents, the house, the car, the whatever it might be. And then the spirituality, which is your kind of connectedness to the world around you as well, and religion and faith. So when you look at that, you just say, well, this is what I have in those areas. And if you're good, like that's what you want, well, then you're resonating at like the perfect frequency for you, the perfect vibration. Remember, we are energetic beings. If you were to strip away all of this, you have to understand is that we're more than 99% non-matter, right? Non-matter, non-physical matter. And this can be measured. So this is not me, again, talking on a metaphysical or, we'll call it woo-woo basis. We're talking real science here. So you have to understand is you're always a vibrational based being. Now, the law of resonance, the best way to describe this is through the tuning fork. I don't know if you've ever heard of this before, but this is a real thing. So if you get two tuning forks, okay, just put them about a foot apart. You can put them further apart if you'd like. And if you strike a tuning fork, typically, let's take away the other tuning fork for just a moment. So you strike a tuning fork, or someone strikes it in the corner of a room. After a couple of seconds, what happens is the tuning fork begins to vibrate. Okay, so it begins to vibrate, and all of a sudden, the molecules in the air particles, are begin to vibrate at a different frequency as well. They're going to be emanating from this tuning fork, right? That's creating vibration. The vibration changes the actual vibrational matter in the molecules, and then it begins to hit your ear, and your ear then begins to take those vibrations, which are literally just vibrations, and turn them into sound that you hear in your own head, because the sound isn't out there, the sound is in here, right? The vibration is here, and then the sound is in the air. So again, I'm not an expert on quantum physics here, but what I'm doing is I'm giving you examples of how this works. Now, so we know that that's there, right? We can see the tuning fork vibrating, and then we can hear the vibration that's coming into our ear. Well, the other thing is this. If you take a tuning fork and you put another one, let's just say a foot away, you can actually do this experiment. When you strike one tuning fork, within about a minute or so, the other tuning fork will begin to vibrate and make noise at the exact same frequency as the first tuning fork. That will heighten the sound now that you hear coming into your ears. So what you saw was one tuning fork is struck and it begins to vibrate at a certain frequency. That frequency is now picked up by the second tuning fork, which begins to vibrate at the same frequency as the first tuning fork. And they will exactly match each other. And over time, they will both begin to stop the vibration until again struck again. It's very, very interesting because when we take this, we say, okay, this tuning fork has this frequency and this tuning fork picks it up and matches it. Okay. So when we look at this, we say everything has a frequency in life. Everything has energy. There's actually a book called Frequency, talks about the science behind all of this. Now, you have to understand, you're vibrating at a certain frequency, and you are picking up all of the things that are already there in reality based on this specific frequency. And it's not the frequency of any one day. It's the frequency typically as the whole, right? This is your typical frequency. This is your typical vibrational base waves being given out to the world. Well, think about this. You are the first tuning fork that's being struck, okay? So you're creating your vibrational match in the world. If a lot of people think this, so they've been taught to visualize and think about what they want. Okay, so you're visualizing, you're thinking about the end goal. Let me make this a really much easier example. Let's keep this really, really simple. Okay, so you want to, let's make this about monetary. Let's make this about some financial gain. You want to make X number of dollars per year. Okay. So you're visualizing what that might be in terms of monetary gain. And with that money, you're saying, okay, I could pay off my parents' debt. I could be able to purchase a home. You just think of all the different things that might come along with that. You have more options. You'd be able to purchase all the different health-based things you want and go on, all the things you want. Okay. So you're thinking about it, and you're visualizing it of what that is, right? But the problem is this. It's not enough to set that tuning fork off. And that's where we've been led astray. The way that you change your personal tuning fork is to change the feeling within the body. The feeling is the strong part. So think about it when you're just having such a great time with friends, right? Or family, and you're laughing, like that is energy. Everybody feels it. It's contagious. You're out to dinner. You're just having a great, great time. Like I was at an event just yesterday, and I posted it on social media. First event I've been to in 15 months, and it was a leadership-based event. I was fortunate enough to be able to be invited to the event. 100 people. It was from people all over the world. It was absolutely amazing. I haven't been to an event in 15 months, because of the pandemic. The energy that was in that room was unbelievable. And that is why when you're with those types of people, there's new ideas that are spawned that you never thought of before. There's networking, there's great relationships. There's people that you want to connect with and go visit and all these different great things. So it's an amazing exchange of energy. Well, that exchange of energy is exactly what we're talking about in the world. So we're talking about this. When you feel the end result. So this is now getting into because I always want to give you actionable data. If you truly want to manifest or attract something in your life, first you need to believe that you can actually receive it. Right? So you need to believe that you are worthy of being able to achieve it. Now, even though maybe you're not able to get to there yet, think about this. What would it look like? So what would that goal look like as the end result? Don't think about all the work it would take to lose the 50 pounds to be able to get rid of the Hashimoto's or rheumatoid arthritis or high blood pressure. Don't think about all the work that it would take. And that's not what we want to do right now, okay? Think about the relationship that you would want with your parents, with your siblings, with community, with your spouse, with your children. Think about the finances or career that you want. Think about the spirituality that you want. Think about the end result. Don't think about what it would take to get there. Think about what it would feel or what would it look like at the end. Now, as you're visualizing the end result, you only want to visualize the end, that it's already been done, then feel what it would feel like to be in that particular space. What would it look like? Who's around you? What would it smell like? If there's any senses that you can bring into this, heighten the feeling. You will actually feel, if you get to be a little bit more self-aware, you'll feel your energy shift. You'll begin to feel the shift, and this shift in your energy is how you begin to shift your reality. Because that energy then will affect your physiology, which is the final piece. Your physiology is an actual change in the way that you're holding your body. It might be pulling your shoulders back a little bit more for a little bit more confidence. It might be keeping that chin a little bit higher. It could be an overall feeling of lightness, of relief. Again, but it's some shift in your overall body. Now, your job is to carry that feeling along as much as you can during the day. So that's why meditation is great, because you can meditate on these things, but the goal is actually to bring that feeling with you, that physiology with you throughout the day. Visualizing the end already being done, feeling what it would feel like having already accomplished that thing, and allowing your physiology to play into that. That is how we tune that tuning fork to the highest vibration. That vibration that you're feeling of the thing already accomplished begins to then bring that into your reality. How quickly then does it happen? Well, again, I'm not an expert in this particular area, and I don't think anybody can tell you exactly. I've studied this, I've read up on it, and it really depends, I believe, on the I would say, a lot of people would say it's not the size of the goal, and I would agree with that. But it's actually how much you are resonating with that end goal. And the bigger the goal, probably the bigger you need to resonate with it. The deeper you must believe it, and the longer you have to be able to hold on to that, the power of the feeling and how long you hold on to it throughout your days. How much do you embody that? The more you embody it, the faster I believe it will come to you. So what we're really saying here today is that you need to begin to already be the thing that you want. You can't say to yourself, which is a common mistake, oh, I'll feel this way or I'll act this way when I have the thing. Well, that's not how it works. You must already act as if. That is the bigger part of the secret. Act as if you've already received the thing. You've already had your goal come true, because you want to resonate with someone as someone whose goal has already come true. Now, with the goal already having come true, you will resonate with that goal itself. That is the law of resonance. And I truly believe that anybody can do this. It takes a little bit of practice, day in and day out. You don't need to rush it, but it's such a beautiful feeling to begin to already feel like you've accomplished some of your biggest goals. Hopefully this was helpful today. Of course, if it was, please do feel free to pass it along to anyone else you believe it could serve. Take care, everyone. Have an amazing day. Thank you so much for just tuning into the show. And as a valued listener, before you go, I want to make sure you are one of the first to know of what is going on right now over at equa.life. We are giving away one of our most popular products for reducing stress, calming the central nervous system, maintaining healthy hair, skin, and nails, changing carbohydrates into usable fuel and energy, and also improving the overall absorption of your B vitamins. B vitamins are absolutely needed for so many of the different functions in your body that go on with the brain, the nervous system, and the regeneration of our cells of our body. So what we do is we make sure, yes, that we provide that B complex in our daily nutritional support. But for many people who need a boost in energy or need to really fight that aging-based process or calm the stress and central nervous system, this is absolutely the product for them. It's also really easy to use. You can use your daily nutritional support shake in the morning, and you can take one activated B complex at lunch and another at dinner, and you are done for all day energy. This is also a full B complex, which means it includes thiamine and riboflavin and niacin and vitamin B6, folate, B12, biotin, pantothenic acid, choline, which is so great for the brain, and then it has all of the methyl donors and inositol as well. So again, this is a full B complex with all of the methylated B vitamins, of course, because that is exactly what the human body looks like, and that is what it's able to absorb. So right now we are giving away about 500 bottles. So we're giving away a lot of these, but they will go fast. And so these are on all orders over $99 while supplies last over at equa.life. This is a $30 value. So head on over, grab your free bottle while supplies last at equi.life. Take care, everyone.